morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live with Liz, where we talk about all things legal marketing and business development, mostly for law firms in the business to business space. And not that we don't like B2C law firms, it's just that this has been the wheelhouse that we're in, so we're going to focus on it. And so today we're talking about short form video content for law firms and what that means. What are we talking about? Short form videos. So social media is something that law firms were, maybe still are, a bit behind in getting the swing of, and to be really active participants in this space. And it slowly happened as more and more law firms joined up, started to become more engaged with it. Then you see your competitors doing it. Now it's become accepted that law firms are on social media, even in channels that a lot of lawyers 10 years ago swore they would never be a part of professionally. Maybe that's Facebook for some, and today maybe that's TikTok, which I think a lot of lawyers still swear that they'll never be on TikTok. But nevertheless, these things are happening all around us. And some of the things that I've always emphasized, one of the reasons to be a part of this space is not only because of the opportunities that these spaces offer to businesses in general, and your law firm is a business, but also because as firms working in this space and providing legal services that are centered in this space, around this space, with your corporate clients having to be in this space, then it makes sense for you as a lawyer or a law firm to be aware of what's out there and what the opportunities are, and to be engaged with it to the extent that, is allowed by law and that your professionalism will allow. So good morning, Leah. It's nice to see you. Fun fact, I had to delete TikTok from my phone because it's definitely a time suck. I saw an article recently that said that the reason that businesses ended up having to take TikTok seriously is because it sucked in all of the Gen Xers and millennials who make up an economic base that simply can't be ignored right now. And it's not that you can ignore really any economic base, but that it's become something more acceptable as some social media and other types of innovation and communication happen to do. Most of the viral attorneys that we see on let's take a step back. Short form videos, what are we talking about? Mostly a short form video is defined as anything between 31 and 60 seconds, short form video content. TikTok is pushing that boundary a little bit, or started to. As TikTok goes with short form video, other channels seem to be following suit in a competitive fashion. So we're seeing short form videos account for content that is maybe even up to about 3 minutes. So this is what we mean by short form video. Generally fast paced, generally set to music, sometimes humorous in these environments, sometimes informative. And there are lawyers out there who have been successful, who have gone viral. But most of what we see when it comes to lawyers on these platforms, and I guess for even more of a definition, TikTok has the short form videos, TikToks, or short video content. But on Instagram, it's called Reels. On YouTube, they're now called Shorts. And so it goes there. I'm sure there are other versions out there and names for them, and probably urban slang that I don't even know about. And I'll have to look later. But, I saw another statistic the other day that said, I think it came from 2020, over 1 billion hours of content is consumed daily on YouTube. So this is a space that it seems imprudent to ignore when it comes to law firms. And most of what we see when it goes viral, this is what I was just about to get to, most of what we see is lawyers in the B2C space. You see The Lawyer, you see Lawyer Kelly, you see quite a few individual attorneys who have found success in the short form video space, getting a big audience, connecting with influencers, growing their own legal businesses through short form video. Yes, they're actually growing their business. And much of what I've seen in the success of lawyers in this space is in B2C. We're seeing criminal lawyers, we're seeing personal injury lawyers in this space, family wills and estate planning, that sort of thing, with individual attorneys experiencing a lot of success. But There are other practice areas that certainly need to be aware of these spaces, need to be involved, or should consider being involved at this point. I don't know if I would say it's necessarily a need, but in the other in the other spaces that are B2B, there are considerations related to intellectual property, for creators, for data privacy, and these practice areas absolutely are relevant to the short form video space. And I mean, I say that the short form video space is taken over. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's also a lot of caution that you can be providing. And it's not something that I think a lot of law firms are really keen to do. It takes a lot of resources, it takes time, it takes money, it takes risk, because there is some risk to putting yourself out there that way. It was hard enough to get on social media in the first place, and now I have to come up with short form video. Are you kidding me? There's really no time. But yeah, your companies are out there, your clients are out there, there is potential. And if I'm on the corporate side and I'm sitting there and I'm looking for counsel to help me deal with issues in this space, whether they are copyright issues, personality rights, maybe there's some music issues in the background, maybe someone is sharing video. What are the laws related to sharing videos? Maybe I'm involved in policy creation or lobbying to Congress and even setting up what the legal framework for content sharing in the future looks like. And data privacy, huge. Obviously, we're in this B2B space. If you're not already one of the firms that we work with representing the social media channels themselves and making sure that we stay on the right side of this, making sure that everyone's able to, sure, exploit the riches that come along with these opportunities when you find success on these channels, but also be able to do something that creates meaningful content that's good for your business. Can law firms actually do this? So what I'm seeing in this space is firms are embracing this a little bit. We're getting our feet wet. We're seeing reels come up on Instagram. This is something I'm seeing more in Latin America than I am in the United States or in Europe. I'm not seeing it so much on TikTok, but there are some B2B attorneys individually who are achieving some success in terms of growing their audience. I'm not sure how it's doing for their businesses, but I also do see that they continue to do it. And why would they not if it weren't doing something good for them, even if it's not their business and it's just their ego? So fine. I think either way, it's a good call to kind of figure this out. But if I'm corporate and I'm looking for that law firm who's definitely in this space, who knows what it is that my company needs and who can definitely provide, whether it's compliance, whether it's advisory services related to best practices, whether it's training, whether it's understanding the cautionary tales that we need to understand to exist on these platforms and to thrive on them. Maybe it's advertising law, maybe it's communications in general that have legal issues and regulatory considerations that we need to make. I'm going to look for those law firms that have experience in this space. And the way I'm going to find them, I'm probably going to go to Google and look for them. But are you writing about being in this space? And how can you even do that if you're not in this space? So what are some of the types of videos that law firms can create that are safe, that are targeted? Because there's still that business consideration that comes along with taking advantage of this. So if you buy into my argument that, yeah, if you're in this space, you'll be more visible. Yes, you will be more credible in this space. If you're in this space, you will have more opportunities to connect with your target audience. Well, you still have to do those business background steps that are important on social. You have to identify your target audience. You have to create meaningful and engaging content. Maybe that means stepping out of your wheelhouse in a law firm setting as a part of that. Maybe you're a law firm marketer who's trying to come up with a strategy for taking advantage of these. So in the very basic form, we're still talking about people connecting with people is what I find to be most engaging in the content that law firms publish anyway. So if you're doing best practices and optimizing for these different spaces, you're still talking about the people of your firm connecting with people out there who can be beneficial for your business, whether that means referral work or direct new clients, or even just becoming insightful parts of your network to create additional visibility. All of those are important and all of those can be advantageous. So what kind of content are you going to create? Well, what are your practice areas? You come up with this content much like you would your regular social content in a formulaic way. You don't even necessarily have to get all that movement of regular live action video to even create reels. We're talking about still slides that you can use that are informative. You can look at it as an educational opportunity. You can actually just take some of the social media content that you've already created and use that as a springboard to jump into maybe a short jump into short form video content creation. And Zennial, I like that term. So it is something that law firms can take advantage of. If you haven't tried it yet, I think there are ways for you to step into it little by little to start to get a feel for what it's like. And you can also make it a part of what your practice is if you have them at your particular law firm, can focus on in terms of other types of content creation. So, my journey into short form video could turn into a blog, could turn into an article about what advice you have for your clients in this space, what you've learned from being in this space. You can also use it to demonstrate or to share with your target audience the information about the services you provide, about the regulations that affect them. But you have to find that meaningful connection. And some of this legalese can just be dry and boring. So that's why we kind of cling to what makes this space humorous and personable and engaging. And I mean, if you have not yet tried TikTok, I mean, who are you? And also, yeah, I did have to delete it from my phone. It's a true story because it is such a time suck, but there is no reason that law firms can't be engaged in this space as well, whichever platforms are the most successful for you. So when you have your target audience, you create this content and you give it a try, and then you see what's most engaging and you see what's successful, and you go back and you revise. Very similar to other types of content that you're putting out there, just happens to be video. Now, there are some words of caution out there. You can't just take something and post it willy-nilly, and I would expect that law firms probably have a higher standard when it comes to observing some of these regulations that regular Joes don't know exist, right? I'll speak specifically to copyright for a minute, and the fact that I've seen law firms out there utilizing copyrighted music in short form videos. And is that allowed? Is that fair use? Is it something that is maybe a faux pas for a law firm that works in intellectual property? Are the platforms getting better at policing this, or at really just creating terms and conditions that help creators protect their work, whether that be the people who create the music that's the background of your video, or the people whose videos you're sharing? Or if you're just doing your original content, which I highly recommend doing original content, what makes sense? In these short form videos, it's not rocket science. You really just need to keep them brief, keep them to the point, and hopefully just have that little twist that makes it something that is important enough for me to take home with me and say, okay, I get your message. That's very useful. Follow. And then you thus create your audience and get more visibility. There are a lot of statistics out there about return on investment from short form video for business. And when you get started, that may be a good place for you to take a beat to get a look and see what business is achieving there. And I do also recommend understanding the advertising rules and potential in these spaces as well when you get involved from the beginning. This way, when you initially start creating content in short form video and sharing it publicly, you have in mind, or as part of your strategy, what comes next and what the future looks like for your social channel planning. And these are things that I know it's difficult to set aside the time and the resources to really consider and to put down into a plan. But this is something that we do. We do social media management for law firms, and it's something that we've figured out how this works to give you visibility in these spaces, a consistent voice. But short form video is something that we're still just exploring and getting a handle on for a few brave firms that are trusting us to help them with this. And we have also created a guide on short form videos that we are happy to share with you. Shoot us an email at solutions@firmforward.com. We'll send that over to you to give you just a little bit of guidance on how these short form videos work. And if we can ever answer any one-off questions, we're happy to do so. Thank you for joining me today on Live with Liz, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.